Hey everybody, Adam with FANUC here. Today we're going to cover a topic that seems simple on the surface, but it's something that I feel like a lot of users overlook or it's just heavily underutilized. And that's everything that is going to be found in your Edit Command tab. I have a video already that talks about the search and replace, the find and replace features, so I'm not going to cover that again. I can leave a link in the description below. But specifically, we're going to talk about copying and pasting lines of code with some bonus content on things like how you can renumber, remark out your code, some good stuff like that. So let's dive in. We're going to do this in kind of a reverse order because the copy, cut, and paste is actually a little more in-depth than you might think. So I'm going to save that for the meat of this video here. So let's start by talking about renumber. You guys may or may not have used it, but let's show you how it works. So I have a lovely FANUC LR mate here, and I'm going to start teaching some points. There's P1. We're going to do a little zigzag pattern or something. How about that? Here's P2. We'll do a sawtooth back down to a P3. Give it a P4. All right, we're driving the point home. So I've got a program that goes 1, 2, 3, 4. You can see if we run this bad boy, it starts at 1, 2, 3, 4. Nice and easy. Okay, so you're humming along, life is good, you've got your 4 points, and you say, you know what, this guy, P2, I don't want it anymore. So I'm going to delete it. Delete line, yup. Well, now here's my new path. P1, P3, P4. So if we run this guy, 1, 3, 4. Okay, well, you may or may not have your OCD genes kicking in that it's 1, 3, 4, but let me really give you OCD. After 1, 3, and 4 execute, and I get through an autosave, I want the robot to now go over here. So I'm going to go 1, 3, 4, and then I want to go over here. Well, watch what happens when I teach a new point. 2. So now we have 1, 3, 4, 2 in that order. So if we actually run this in sequence, 1, 3, 4, 2. Run it again. 1, 3, 4, 2. Whether you have OCD like me or not, this should be a problem. Obviously the controller is trying to use any unused digits. It's trying to fill its memory. So when we deleted P2, it became available again. And now P2 has become the last point in this series. So this is becoming a hot mess, and it's only 4 points. Imagine you had a whole program. It'd get ugly. So what do? Edit Command, renumber. If I want to renumber, it'll ask me, little love note, renumber okay? Yup. And look what happens first, ignore the lines for now, look what happens first to my code. My code goes to a 1, 2, 3, 4 in perfect sequence. This hullabaloo over here, that's a RoboGuide thing. I can actually highlight my program and say redraw my node map and it'll clean that up. But now, when we run this program, the positions didn't change, just the numbering changed. So now, 1, 2, 3, 4. So the actual path of the robot is still the same path of the robot, but you don't have this ugly chunk of code that's jumping all over the place. So, hey, that's lesson number 1. That was just renumber. We're just getting warmed up, guys. Let's look at the next thing. I want to talk about remarking real quick. Not to be confused with commenting your code. We use different terms, call it a Japanese to English translation, but if I turn comment on and off, watch what happens up here. See where my payload says 1? If I turn comments on, it shows that I named payload 1 Adam. So, if I had registers or IO or whatever, and I have all my comments like a good programmer should have, you have the ability to turn your comments off. I don't recommend leaving them off. You can turn them off to maybe make your code easier to read for a moment, and then turn it back on. But hey, it exists. It's there. Remark, on the other hand, has a functionality more like what us programmers call comment. So let's look at this code again. I now have 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's say I want to skip number 3. I don't want to go there. But I don't want to delete it. I just want to see what the robot looks like without P3. Maybe I need it, maybe I don't. Let's test it. I can remark. It says select lines to remark or unremark, so I can actually move my cursor up or down to highlight more or less of the code. But I'll just do one line and say remark. You see it puts the forward slashes in, like what programmers are used to seeing as commenting out your code. FANUC calls it remarking out your code because comments are comments. Don't get pedantic on me. So now look what it did to my path. It temporarily deleted P3. If I run the program, 1, 2, 4, 1, 2, 4, it skips P3. You can do that with your IOs if you want to test the robot program without actually picking up a part. Just remark out all of the vacuum portions or the grip or actuation programs. Just turn those outputs to be remarked until you're happy, and then when you're ready to run the full tilt, edit, remark, unremark, and everything goes right back to normal. So Remark tool is awesome for debugging and figuring different things out. Highly recommended. Let's say you're one of the guys who, I went to P3 and I deleted it because I don't think I need it. And then, oh dear, I really wanted P3. Well, did you guys know that we have an undo key? A lot of people think that whatever happens in your teach pendant, is that is what it is. And to an extent, that's true. We don't have a save button on here. It saves every keystroke, but if your keystroke was an oopsie daisy, just click undo. It'll tell you, do you want me to undo the delete? Yeah, that's what I want to undo. And now I have P3 right back in my code. So again, inside this edit command box is a lot of useful stuff that I feel like people they end up hitting themselves in the head with a hammer because they don't know that this exists. So now that was our bonus content up front. Let's get to the meat and potatoes of how to do copy, cut, and pasting logic. We all know that robots are beautifully repeatable, but that doesn't mean that humans have to be doing repetitive tasks, right? We'll leave that for the robot. Let me kill this code, and you guys might know that I like to have a few lines blank in there so I can jump around. And let's make a realistic situation where maybe P1 is getting into a box, and then P2 is getting out of the box. By the way, I could be using position registers with offsets. Wouldn't matter, all going to work the same. We're just doing this for quick science. P3 and P4. Okay, so now I have a program. Let's run it, show you what it looks like. It starts at P1, it goes up, over, and down. Let's run it again. Starts at 1, 2, 3, 4. Wonderful. Well, now I want this to be a pick and place, so I want to go back. Well, that means I need to go, 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 1. So let's start looking at the tools that we have available unto us. Inside edit command, inside copy, the first thing I have to do is tell it what I want to copy. So it says select lines. At this point, I can move my cursor around until I get to the portion I want to start highlighting. And I say select. Then it gives me a love note, move cursor to select range. So now when I'm moving my cursor, it's, and when I say cursor, I'm clicking physically up and down arrows. I can move my up and down arrows to say how much I want to highlight. Well, let's say I want to highlight P123. If I cut it, you guys know how that works. Cut and paste, it'll remove it from there and put it somewhere else in the code. That's great. Let's talk about copy. When I say copy, this goes back to the main screen. So it's on the invisible clipboard in clipboard land. And let's say paste. First thing it's going to ask me is, do you want to paste before this line? So I do have to make sure that I have my cursor where I want to paste. But I have some options here. I have 3 options to be specific. I can paste logic, I can paste position IDs, or I can paste positions. Here's the difference. If I paste logic, and I'll click it, it dumps the logic that I copied, but it did not paste any of the positions. So it knew, oh, hey, you wanted to do a bunch of linear moves at 2,000 millimeter per second at fine termination, but that's all it knows. Okay, so that one maybe doesn't do you any good for positions, but would do you a great job if you had if statements or calls or jumps or IOs, things like that. Let me undo my paste. I can open this back up. Remember, all this data is still on my clipboard. So if I say edit, copy, I can just jump right back into paste. I do not need to select it again. I can just say paste again. So I showed you what paste logic does. Pasting logic is really good for logic. It is not good for positions. So let's use one of these. If I say paste position ID, look what I get. It takes the 1, 2, 3 that I highlighted and pastes 1, 2, 3. Super. That's cool. Let's delete that. And let's show you another one. Say copy, paste. That was position ID. It copied and pasted the IDs. But if I click position, check this out. It sequentially took the P1, 2, and 3 and turned them into a 5, 6, and 7. So now P1 shares the exact same data as P5, P2 has the same data as P6, and P3 has the same data as P7, but we made them new positions. Some people like that. I'm not saying you love it or hate it, but some people like that. But Adam, you still haven't done it in reverse. Okay, let me do that. Let's undo all of this again. Edit, copy, paste. There's those 3 options, but if I click the next arrow, I get 5 more options. Yay, more stuff. Well, we already talked about, pasting logic, paste logic. Pasting position ID, pastes the physical IDs, 1, 2, 3. And pasting position, paste the positions with new IDs. These guys do reverse logic, reverse position ID, skip him, reverse position, and skip him. The RM position IDs, those will reverse positions, and they also take into consideration position modifiers. That's the M, like reverse modify position. So if you had ACC commands or path commands or something logical happening over here, it would switch them. I almost never use the RMs. I stick to my reverse logic, reverse position ID, or reverse position. So in this situation, I want to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 1, which means I want to preserve my IDs. So I click that. Now I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 1. So if I run this program, 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now I have a nice and simple pick and place that follows itself, and I only had to go through and really do it once. Where you see me and other guys get really efficient with this is in like what I'll call normal code situations where I'm doing the same thing over and over and over. Like, look at this program that I wrote for a pick and place. Just me personally, I like to use PRs. So I'll have PR2 pick, PR2 pick, PR2 pick, right? It's the same thing over and over and over. The difference is I put an offset here and an offset here. You guys have probably seen that in my other videos. So it's pick with an offset, pick, pick with an offset. And then same with my place. It's place with an offset, place, place with an offset, repeat. And even my home position, I start at home, I end at home. So when I am generating code, I'll typically make one line of code, copy it and paste it 3 times until I'm happy with this sequence. And then when I'm happy with this sequence, I'll copy and paste it to be over here. So yeah, that's it's a method of becoming more and more efficient in how you are generating your code. And again, I'll show you one last thing before we wrap this up. Let me delete these lines. Yes. If I wanted to run this program without reusing 1, 2, 3, just so I'm thoroughly teaching you guys, paste, next, I can say reverse position, but instead of remembering the IDs, instead of reversing the position IDs, I will just reverse positions. So now look what I get. I get 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, 6, 5. It looks the same on robot path. 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, 6, 5. You can still see it follows the up, down, over, down path. It's just now you have a little more control and granularity over your positions by making these independent of these. Because remember, if you do 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 1, if you were to say change position 2, which is up in the corner, it would affect both position 2s. Whereas right now I could change P2 and then P6 when it comes back home, P5 when it comes back home. 7, 6, 5. 5 when it comes back home is going to stay the same. So again, hopefully this is helping you guys, giving you things to look at, things to think about, new tools to use. The Remark, the undo, search and replace is in a totally different video, but Renumber, all these great things, guys. If you have any questions, comment, please like, subscribe, you know the drill, and have fun coding.